So our course is business intelligence. And before we dive into business intelligence, there are some fundamentals which I think you must know. You must know. And you need to know what data is. Very important. To help you understand what data is, I would like you to use a framework, an approach. And personally, I have a personal framework which I use. You wouldn't find this in any book, but I think I've tested it and it worked. So I'm going to use the timeline of the Industrial Revolution to explain to you what data is. So today, the world has experienced 4 different industrial revolutions. The first, the second, the third, and the fourth. I want us to look at the timeline of these 4 industrial revolutions. If you look at the timeline of the first and the second industrial revolution, it took about a century to make the transition from the first to the second. If you look again, the timeline, it took again another 100 years to make the transition from the second to the third. But if you look at the transition from the third to the fourth, it took about 50 years. The question is, why? So why do we have a shorter transition period to move from the third industrial revolution to the fourth industrial revolution? The answer is data. Data. So what happened was, in the third industrial revolution, the world placed billions of data of devices out there. Through cloud computing, through emerging techs, we were exposed to different technologies which enabled us to generate data every day. Now, I want you to think about the volume of data generated in the world today. And I would like to use a framework to do that. And the framework which I would like to use is the IPv4 and IPv6 addresses. This is the framework. And now, there is what is called IPv4. So every device has a unique number, okay, that falls within IPv4 or IPv6. So IPv4 provides the space. So you think about this auditorium as the space, and you think about the seats as the number of seats that this space can contain. So the IPv4 can contain about 2 raised IPv4 can contain about 2 raised to the power 32 devices. Okay? And this is about 4 billion devices. 4 billion devices connected to the internet. IPv6 has a space of 2 raised to the power 128. And this is about 340 undercillion. So what does this tell me and you? It tells you and I that today, since statistically IPv4 has been used up, that at least 4 billion devices are connected to the internet if you use IP version 4 as your framework. And these 4 billion devices are generating data every second, every hour, every day. Okay? Now, because loads of data were generated from this space, the world needed to read meaning into those data for the next level. That's why it took 50 years. What do you think is going to be the timeline to move from the fourth to the fifth industrial revolution? Any guess? I think it's going to be shorter. It's going to be shorter than 50 years. Does this make sense? This is how I want you to think in the practical world. What I just told you.